Hello my 3D printer peeps. I am sitting here with the Creality Ender 3 version 3 KE. We are going to go ahead and unbox and build this machine together right now. Open up your printer and you'll be greeted with a nice big giant black section of foam. You can toss that aside, exposing many of the printer's parts right off the bat. Let's get a closer look at them. You will quickly recognize the usual suspects. We've got the user manual and a nozzle declogging tool that you will never use, and some pretty cool Creality stickers on the back side. A bag of goodies. In here you will see your filament runout sensor already attached to the filament mounting bracket. That's really cool because mounting this is actually a bit of a pain in the ass. The awesome KE hot end, you can't get it out because it's attached to components below. However, reach into here and pull out the filament mounting spool. And one final important component right here, it looks like the screen bracket. However, unlike previous printers, this bracket is already attached to the screen, and the screen on the KE is the awesome new Nebula tablet. This is Creality's new single machine Klipper tablet. Think of it as a small mini version of the Sonic Pad. This is really awesome and you get one included. This component alone makes this printer worth the price difference between the SE and the KE. With those components removed, you can grab this piece of foam and slide it out. It will come out from within a frame of foam. This will expose another thing worth the price difference between the SE and the KE. Here is the very awesome KE hot end that has Creality's new high flow nozzles and ceramic 360-degree rapid hot end heater. This is the same technology seen on the Speedy Spider hot end and the Creality K1 and K1 Max. We are now going to remove this section of the printer. However, underneath here and here are two Z screws. I do not want you to grab those and risk bending them. So we are going to take our hand and slip it underneath this rail right here beside the hot end, and slowly with gentle pressure down on the box, up on the section of the printer to bring it upward, and remove this section from the box, placing it aside. When resting this on the table, I want this stepper motor and this leg making contact with the table. I do not want it overhanging past the table so that there is pressure or contact with this two Z-rods. I just want it sitting right here so that it is supported by this leg here and this stepper, and you'll see the Z-rod makes no contact with the bed at all. Let's go ahead and remove the bottom portion of the printer. It's a great idea not to start grabbing and pulling at things when you don't know exactly how they're nestled together. So we will do this together. You will see here these two pieces of foam were protecting the Z-rods. You can toss them. There is one on each side. You will also see it did provide some protection on the side of your KE print bed. Speaking of your KE print bed, it is nestled between two foam blocks. Which one can you remove? Place your bet. Did you pick this one or did you pick this one? It's this one. Grab this piece of foam, pick it up and toss it aside, freeing the front of your print bed. You're going to take your fingers, press outward and slide down between the printer and work it up from one side. Hook your fingers underneath, apply pressure on the other side, and pick it up. Place this base on the table. I'm going to use my two thumbs to hold the hot end in place so it doesn't fall forward. And notice you might have the cable trapped underneath. Let that cable fall, support the printer, and work that cable away from the bottom of the printer so you don't put it down on top of the cable. You can now put that cable aside. Those of you with keen eyes may have noticed there is foam underneath the hotbed. It may have fallen out on its own, or it may still be there. If it's still there, now's a great time to take your fingers and just gently work them out. Toss them aside. We have completely unboxed the Creality Ender 3 version 3 KE, and we can push our box off the table. The next thing to do is to combine this section with this section. Yeah, it's that easy. Before we do that, we'll have a look at what's inside this bag. Now I know some of you may have fast forwarded directly to this moment because you guys know what's coming. That's right, in the bag is a brand new pair of clippers. However, let's find out what else is in this bag. Here is a spool of Creality filament. It's PLA with the Creality Kuva mascot on it. This will be Creality Hyper Filament. Next up is some screws. Next up is a USB thumb drive. Please never trust a memory card or USB thumb drive. That comes with a 3D printer. Buy your own and use your own. If there is content on this drive that you feel you need, copy it to the new memory card or new USB thumb drive. A set of cheap but effective tools. Metal grease. We will not be using this right now, and you may not use this anytime in the near future. Please do not make a habit of greasing your 3D printer. Some more screws and a plastic bracket and one spare nozzle. Here are all those components that came in the bag. However, I am breaking a rule that we are going to set for you right now, and that is to never put anything on your print. Never.
Look at me, people.
Never.
Listen carefully.
Put anything on your print bed. This right here is the exact list of things acceptable to put on your print bed. Also, we are not going to touch our print bed. Under no circumstance do you ever need to take your fingers and place them on your print bed. Do not do that. Speaking of print bed, you are looking at the Creality Black PEI print bed. These new print beds are pretty cool because they are magnetic and they just pop right off and pop right on. Moving along, look for this bag that says M314. We're going to use these screws to attach this to this. You are going to find the Allen key that fits by simply test fitting. And we are going to attach this section by inserting the screws from underneath. I like to do this by taking the printer and positioning one section of the body off your table. Grab this section of the printer. I'm holding in front of the Z-rods. I am not grabbing the Z-rods. I am taking this little wire right here and feeding this little piece through a hole on the right side of this slot right here. It is quite difficult as it barely fits. Please be patient to get that cable through that hole. Then line these up with the slots on the body and let them fall into place. Do be careful. The housing of your printer is plastic. If you are not accurate getting this into the slot, you may scrape this up. You will now see the cable has passed through the bottom of the printer. That's the cable that came out of this rail. You will see there is a secondary cable. Simply connect them together. They only fit one way. Underneath here, there are 3 holes. We are going to use our Allen key and that screw to secure this section. I could get this camera up underneath there, but I know you are not going to make me suffer like this. With those screws in place, simply reverse the order of the printer and repeat the process on this side. After you installed the screws underneath this section, you will notice there are 2 additional holes in front of this Z-rod. You will find a bag that has 2 different types of screws in it. 2 of them are M3 by 8. They are black. We are going to use those. The same Allen key you just used on the other screws will fit this one. Place one on the key and screw one in each hole. It's a royal pain in the neck because your tool may hit the Z-rod. You will have to pinch and roll, pinch and roll, pinch and roll. Please do not lean on your print bed while doing this. Do note this bracket is plastic. If you go too hard, it will crack. Please secure it firmly, but not too firmly. While you are here, it is a good time to turn this Z-rod, exposing this little grub screw, finding the tool that fits, and making sure it is firm and secure. You may go ahead and do the same with these two on the coupler right here. With the main body of the printer connected, we will move on to the electronics. The first thing we will do is lower our eyes to the connection right here, where we will install our nebula pad. Slide the nebula pad right here, grab this harness, and connect it to the back of the nebula pad. It is keyed and only fits one way. It does not click. Push it in firmly and then flip the nebula pad up. You will now see 1, 2, 3 screws inside the nebula pad bracket. Place the bracket against the printer and put those 3 screws through those holes from the outside. Again, the printer comes with the correct tool. You will spare me the punishment of getting the camera shot on this installation, as I trust you can handle it. Push it through the hole and install all 3. While I would suggest just getting it done with the printer upright, it is okay to lean it over on its side to make easier access to this holes. When you're done, it will look like this. Alright, now that we have the nebula pad connected, we can go ahead and remove the protective film and continue with the rest of the electrical connections. We'll start by connecting the hot end. You are going to grab the main harness and locate the fat part at the very end. You will recall earlier in the build, this bag, which had a little small black bracket in it. We are going to use that bracket right now. When opening the bag, do be careful. There are 2 screws in there, as well as your spare nozzle. Put the spare nozzle aside and we will utilize these 2 screws right now. I am going to lower the tool head by simply turning the 2 Z-rods together, just gently rolling them both in the same direction. I don't recommend doing this on a regular basis, but if you do feel the need to adjust the height of the tool head during your build, you can go ahead and do this safely. Here at the top of your KE extruder, you will see the connection for the harness. Simply open up the clip on each side. Locate the notch on one side of this cable and turn it to the back. Then carefully straight down, line it up and push it firmly down. The clips of the hot end will lock in place over the harness and your hot end is connected. It's a good idea to support the hot end while pressing this into place. It doesn't require a lot of force, just a firm push and make sure they close. Do not push on the nozzle or the fans on either side, just the housing itself, please. Remember that little bracket. Now is the time to put it to use. Line up the 2 screws, find the matching Allen key, attach the bracket to secure the cable to the hot end. Again, while the threading is metal, the bracket is plastic. Please don't overdo it. We will now turn our attention to the rear of the machine. Right here on the side, you will notice your stepper, and there is a female port. Here, what a coincidence, is a matching male connector. Be very gentle, line it up, One firm push and it will snap into place. Those of you who have built recent Creality machines with the Sprite extruder and the Sprite harness will know that there is usually a clip that connects this cable to the Z right here, and it slides down into that clip. So do take notice, Creality has updated that clip. It's now easier to install and supports the cable on both sides. It simply wants you to take it, fold it over, push it in, and then flatten it out. Give it a slight wiggle back and forth. And there you go. Lined up just the way they want inside the new harness clip. Since we're here, bring your eyes down to the other Z stepper motor, and you will notice another female connector waiting for some love. You've got a male connector sitting right next to it. Do take note, this one is going to connect in the opposite orientation of the last one with the pins facing up. Simply line it up and in one clean motion, press it into the connector. Believe it or not, that is all the connections for the main harness of the Ender 3 version 3 KE. The only remaining connection is up here for your filament runout sensor. We will install that now. If you have done all this correctly, you should be left with 2 remaining screws and your filament mount and runout sensor, which is pre-installed. Thank you, Creality. You will hold it like this with the L shape facing the front of the machine. You will turn your filament runout sensor so that the arrow is pointing down. It will look like this, and place the runout sensor over the 2 holes at the top of the machine. It will look like this, and your runout sensor should move freely. Once again, your kit came with an Allen key that works. I do recommend getting your own. These little guys are not always shaped in an ideal manner to fit within all the nooks and crannies of these parts. However, they do work, and you will be able to install your printer with them. You will just need to get a slight angle when you turn these so that the arm of the Allen key doesn't hit the actual part while you're trying to turn it. Once they're down, if you want to secure them, you can flip it over this way like a hockey stick and then give it a slight little quarter turn. This will help. Be sure everything is secure and doesn't vibrate loose. Now that we are up here, the final electrical connector waits for you. It's right here. It also fits one way. It's keyed. Look for the teeth and slots and press it in place. All of the electrical components for your KE are now connected. The final component is the spool holder, which goes right here. Place it behind the hole. Place the spool holder into the hole. Turn, and you're done. You may or may not get a click out of it. As long as it's firmly attached, you're all set. You can place your sample roll of filament onto the spool holder, or for me, I'm just going to place a lovely spool of Creality Hyper Series PLA. There is one more important step before turning your printer on, and that is making sure it is set to the correct voltage, and we are going to look right there. My printer came defaulted to 230 volts. I am in USA, so I require 115. You will see the red switch says 230. You will take a pointy tool, place it on the switch, and push it right. That will switch the printer's power to 115, and now if 115 is the correct choice for you, you are ready to go. If 230 is the correct choice for you, you will leave it or switch it to 230. Here in the USA, we will set it to 115. And we're done. Now that the Ender 3 version 3 KE is built, we will need to turn it on, configure our Nebula pad, set the printer up on Creality Cloud, run a few calibrations, and get started with our first test print. We will do that next. You are on the 3D Rundown YouTube channel. I'm Greg Adventure, your instructor on 3drundown.com. and building the super cool, highly advanced Ender 3 version 3 KE 3D printer was today's adventure. Gently work them out, toss them inside. Congratulations.
Hey,